welcome back. In this video, we are going back to the keyboard and learn how we set this keyboard manually, and so why we want to do that. So let's again say we are back with the airline. Okay, so in this case it is Lufthansa, which is the biggest European airline group, by the way. So let's create a very simple object for this airline with a very simple booking method as well. So let's just do that. So in this object here, we'll just say airline. So we need a item code for that. And also we need the booking. So initially we are setting this booking to array, okay, which is null. And also here we can use this way as well, which is to book function of or else we can just simply write this way as well. So which is book of flight number, and then here we need the name, right? So here we'll just say console.log book a seat on this dot airline, and then flight this dot code, and then we'll just say flight number. So here we'll just declare here the values Lufthansa dot book, which is the flight number, the data we are entering, and then here for the passenger, and then here Lufthansa dot book 635, and then here we just say Adam Joe. So as you can see here, when we run this, Raghavan Loic booked a seat on Lufthansa Airlines LH flight number. So this is how we are getting. So similarly for this way, this person as well, Adam Joe. So we have booked a seat on Lufthansa flight, which is the flight number here. Okay. Let's say Lufthansa created a new airline. So we just say here the const Euro links as the name. So in here we have the airline name called Eurowing. Here we have the Eurowings, and then here we have a code of which is EW here, and also here we have the booking, which is simply we are just sitting here back here again. So coming back here, it should be the name, and then here it is booking, as well as here it is also should be the booking here. Okay. And then here we'll just start writing our code. Here we'll just say this dot bookings, and then here we'll just say flight of, and then here we'll just start writing the code, which is this dot the code, and then here, which is the flight number, and then we'll just say here the name. Okay, so when we run it, see here uncode our syntax. So here it should be this, and then so this dot booking is not a function here, so we are getting the error here, right? So now we cannot read a property airline of undefined. So do you know why this happened? Well, it's because the function here, the book function is not just a regular function call here. So we learned in one of the previous sessions in a regular function call, this keyword points to undefined, at least in strict mode. All right, so once more the book function is no longer this method. Okay, so we'll just add here dot push here, as you can see, and also we'll just say here console.log Lufthansa, as you can see here. Now our output, so it is an object here we are getting. So here the flight name array here, which is we are getting everything in detail here. So let's create a new function called book. Okay, so here we'll just say constant book equals to Lufthansa dot book. Okay, and then here we'll just say book of 23. Okay, which is the flight number, and then here we'll just say Sarah Williams, and then we'll just see the output. Now we cannot read the property airline of undefined. So do you know why this happened? Well, it's because the function here, the book function, is now just a regular function call. So as we learned in one of our previous sessions, in a regular function call, this keyword point outs to undefined, at least in strict mode. Okay, so right now this book function is no longer this method. Okay, so in order to make this work, so let me just turn this here off, and then here we'll just say book dot call Eurowings dot 23 comma, which is now the Sarah Williams, and then here we'll just say console.log Lufthansa now. So here it should be comma or dot. See here, when we do this, here we are getting our output, and this in here output. So we'll just remove the Lufthansa here, and then we'll just put it here. Okay. See here, Sarah Williams booked a seat on undefined flight because, so it is now this separate function here. It's a copy of this, but it is not a method anymore. So it's now a function. So here it's a regular function call, and so therefore this keyword inside of this will now point to undefined, and that's why I kept telling you earlier, this keyword depends upon the function is actually called. Okay, make sure you understand these dynamics here. But now how do we fix this problem? In other words, how do we tell the JavaScript that we want to create a booking on the new Aerowing airline, or how do we even tell that we want to book on Lufthansa here? Well, basically we need to tell the JavaScript explicitly what this keyword here should be like. So if we want to book Lufthansa flight, well, this keyword here uh, should point to Lufthansa. Well, if you want to book Euroflight, well, this keyword should point to Eurowings. So how do we do that? How do we tell JavaScript explicitly or manually what this keyword should looks like? Well, there are three function methods to do that, and they are called call, apply, and bind. So we first talk about this keyword. I mentioned these methods back then. So now we are going to use them, at least the call and apply method. So let me just show you. Here actually I forgot. It should be here, the Eurowing. So even though if it is Eurowings here, here we are getting undefined. So let's just copy this and then paste it again. So here instead of Eurowings, let's just say Lufthansa, and then yeah, we just change. See here now, Sarah Jonas booked a seat on Lufthansa flight, as you can see here in the bookings, the three arrays. So three flights were there here, right? So now let's recap what happened here. So this time we did actually not call book function ourselves. Instead, we just called the method, and then this call method, which will call the book function with this keyword set to Eurowings. So whenever we pass this first argument of the call method, so this allows us to manually explicitly set this keyword of any function that we want to call. Then all the arguments after the first one are simply the arguments of the original function. So in this case, the book function, of course, the flight number and the passenger name, and of course we can do the same, right? So by writing this line of code, we got the output, right? As you can see here, LH25 Sarah Jonas. Here what basically we are doing is manipulating the this keyword here, so which is pointing out here to this Lufthansa here. So this function here it is just called out here for the Eurowing, right? So here we got the undefined. So here we are just using the call here to manually divert this towards the Lufthansa and then get this output. And also, like the constant Eurowings, we can just also create some more constant airlines. So we'll just say constant Swiss. Here we'll just say airline Swiss Air. And also here we'll just say take home. Here we'll just say book dot call of Swiss, comma here 583, and then here we'll just say Mary Cooper. See here, Mary Cooper booked a seat on the Swiss Airlines flight. As you can see here, we are getting. So here the bookings also, as you can see here. So we are getting here the flight number and then name. So that's how we did it. So let's just say here we want to simply using the call method. So this call method is a similar method to the call functions, which is called the apply method. And then the apply method does basically exact the same thing. The only difference is that apply does not receive a list of arguments after this keyword. So this doesn't receive the list here, but instead it's gonna take an array of arguments. Okay, so it will then take the elements from the array and pass it into the function. So let's just say flight data here. So constant flight data. So Georgie Cooper here we'll just say, and then here we'll just say book dot apply Swiss comma flight data, and then we'll just console this to one, and then we'll just say Swiss. See, as you can see here, Georgie Cooper booked a seat on a Swiss airline flight, and then here when you see here bookings, so here we got the booking as well. So here we just did simply a new constant flight data, which we have declared here in the array format, and then here we just applied this to the Swiss and then the flight data. So when it goes to this Swiss, okay, and then the flight data which is contain this, and then we are logging this. So it just goes basically into all this, and again, so it gets stored into the Swiss Airlines here. Okay. So what we just did here was we created an array here with the flight number and the passenger name. So book on the same flight Georgie Cooper, and then we can apply the book function. So apply, and then just here we just call in the call method, the first argument in this keyword, but the second argument it needs to be, as I just said, of an array data, right? So let's we have passed the flight data array here. So let's just take a look at here once. So I'll just take this one here, this data, and then passed out in this here. Okay. This method is not that used anymore in modern JavaScript now, because we actually have a better way of doing this exact same thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? So let me just show it to you here. Here, let me just instead of this, let me just say here book dot call Swiss, which is the flight data. As you can see here, we got the same output. So this way or this way we can write. So instead of using before, here we just used the book dot call instead of book apply. And also here we use the spread operator to take the data out of the flight, basically put them here, and this is here the same one this here. So right now with the modern JavaScript, I prefer this way, just using the call method and then to spread out the arguments from the array like that. So again, this is here the exactly same as this. In summary, we now yet have another tool in our box here. So this one is the one that allows us explicitly defines this keyword in any function that we want. But there is actually another method which allows us to do the same thing, that's bind method. So it's more important actually, than the call and apply method. So I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So that's it for this video.